Hi, my name is Adria Davis. I teach photo here at Butte College. I've been here since 2017, and I teach an intro to photography class that's Photo 2, and it's a darkroom photography class, and I also teach a Photo 14, which is the photo books and portfolios. If I would have told myself back then, when I was a Butte College student, that I'd be here teaching now, today, her mind would be blown. My teacher was Jeff Fricker, and he taught here many, many years at Butte College. And I remember being in the portable building, and now seeing the beautiful arts building. This place is gorgeous, and this studio is gorgeous. We have a studio with lighting equipment, as well as a dark room and with enlargers, 35 millimeter up to medium and large format printing. We also have our film developing area, and then also a Mac lab where we can print large format digital prints. This place is fabulous. I would argue with someone that this is probably the best studio, the best lab, the best photo lab in Northern California. The class that I teach, Photo 2, is a darkroom photography class. It's an introduction to photography. I feel like if a student takes an introduction to photography class, they're going to learn the basics of film photography, which in my opinion, you actually become a better photographer. You're stuck to that 24 frames or that 36 frames in a single roll, instead of like the digital photography world where you can take 1,000 in an afternoon, So it really forces you, darkroom photography really forces you to become a better photographer. When students come into class, what I like to see is their curiosity, their interest for the subject, wanting to learn about photography, even just having a little tiny bit of curiosity. I think it's easy to say that, when you see so many photos, you get kind of jaded. I mean, everybody can get kind of jaded with social media, and I think just wanting to make work that's just new and interesting, something that's talking about yourself, your life, something that's, speaks to you personally. There's a set of student learning outcomes that the students have to meet in the class, but the curriculum is structured from the SLOs. So the beginning project that I have for the students to do, it's photograms. So photograms are really cool. It's just taking light sensitive paper and placing objects directly on top, and then exposing it to light in the dark room using an enlarger. And you basically end up seeing the shadows of the objects that are placed on top of the paper. It's pretty amazing. It's the very first time that a student will start playing around with light sensitive material, and it's such a magical moment when they put their paper into the developer and they watch it develop right before their eyes. And then we start to move into using the camera. Within the viewfinder is the next project, and that's when the students can begin to start working with framing and taking that rectangular frame and choosing what to include in that frame and what they choose not to include. It says a lot about a photographer's ideas and concepts. And then we have the different techniques. That project is it's such a fun project. I get to show the students the different techniques that you can do in photography, which is drip technique, solarization, sepia toning. I've had some students do staining where they'll actually use vegetables like cabbage like purple cabbage juice to stain their photographs. That's really cool. They do some hand coloring. There's a whole variety of techniques that I show. And then the last assignment is called the visual quote, and it's where a student chooses a quote that's, it could be from a lyric, a book, a poem, something, and then they depict that quote in their images. And it's just commenting on the narrative qualities of photography. Those are the assignments. I also have exercises in there, and then also quizzes, and then a photographer research project. But yeah, that's kind of the structure for Photo 2. My uncle is a photographer, and he is the person that bought me my very first camera. And I remember going with him to he took me to a soccer game, and it wasn't just any old soccer game, it was the Women's World Cup. So my uncle was a sports photographer, and he would get press passes, and he was able to get me a press pass onto the field, and I was photographing with him. So I remember having my little Nikon film camera and him hooking up this giant lens, and I was making pictures with him out on the field, and it was such a special experience. You know, the majority of the film that I took that day was just terrible, truly, truly terrible. But I did have that one shot of Mia Hamm. You all probably don't know who she is, but she was a famous soccer player, and she was like mid-kick, kicking, and it was like one of those shots that you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm floored. I cannot believe I made that photo. And it was just such a special moment. And yeah, that was something that it spoke to me at such a young age. And it was you know, photography has been just that constant in my life. I ended up going and getting my master's, my MFA in photography. So, and then with that, getting that degree, that's what allows you to teach. I absolutely think that non-art majors would benefit from taking this class. It's such a, I mean, photography in general is a very approachable media. I mean, everybody has a camera in their hand most of the time during the day. I've had students that have been business majors wanting to use photography for maybe their marketing ads, and you know, that there's so many other reasons you may want to take photography. Maybe you're a painter and you need to photograph your subjects, and then you paint from your photographs. Or maybe you're a biology major and you're wanting to go and explore some type of animal or plant life somewhere, and you need documentary photography to do that. There's so many uses for photography, and it's such a relevant piece of our world today. What I want my students to take away from this class is that I want them to find their voice as a photographer. Like, what interests them? What do they want to talk about? Because ultimately, photography is telling the story. It's telling the story about someone's life, and it's also giving these students and these students that may not have taken a photography class in the past, or even an art class, a voice, an artistic voice that they can put to images. Yeah, that's what the main thing I want my students to take away, is to finding their voice. This is Adria Davis, and if you are curious about photography, come check out the lab. We're in room 204 in the Arts Building.